Dear Perceptive Reader, this is a lunchtime special encouragement, all right? And what I'm going to share with you is very important because I'm really going to make some statements that are out there. And when I say out there, they are not the statements that's, they say, ooh, the shock factor. No, I'm really not making these statements for the shock factor. I'm really not. I just know that they're going to be so out there with some of the statements that I'm going to make that it will shock some people. And with that being the case, I'm going to start off with the first one. Um, I'm looking for a better word. I don't want to say this is a caveat because it's not. I'm trying to figure out the best word to put it is, but instead of trying to find the best word to describe what I'm about to say, you know, I'm going to let the persons who this is addressed to as excluding, but I just wanted a better word uh, to show the honor and dignity with it, is this. See, one, the statements that I'm going to make, I do want uh, the ones who pursue their careers to serve, honor, and protect, to in this case just exclude themselves from this. And this doesn't mean you're not deserving. No, you're going to see why I'm going to say this. Because the reality of the matter is, with all this authority, power, and everything that's given to the ones who are even known as first responders, you see, the reality is the civilians still control that on different levels. And that's the fact of the matter. It is not the ones who are actually wearing all the gear, the ones jumping through hoops to save lives, the ones who are implementing even incarceration, all of that. See, but no. And the reason why I want them to be excluded in this one, in other words, not to feel bad about some of the stuff that I'm about to say, is because of the simple fact is, I know that in your compartmentalized mind, in order to do your job, I know there are sections in there too that you have to fight with, making sure you don't get overly depressed and then feel like you're not even, you see, up to par to even doing this job. That I know it, and I'm not going to go any deeper than that. So that's why I want you to be excluded from the statements that I'm going to make, because I'm not even saying these statements to discourage people, but I am stating what I'm about to state as fact in order to hope that some persons, remember I told you, some people will always just try you. And when you stand up to some of these persons, you know what? It has nothing to do with um, uh, pride in the way that they try to warp it to be, but it literally has something to do with, you know what? If you were being fair and a reasonable human being, you wouldn't want to push anybody that way in the first place, and that's the reality. So let me get into this lunchtime special, so to speak, of what I'm saying. You see, I always emphasize, you know, people, especially as children and growing up, there are so many situations that we as human beings are bombarded by, even from the spirit realm, even though I realize some people don't believe in the spirit realm and the effect on us in the way that I told you I believe in. And I'm not here to argue with such ones. What I am here to say is my mind is not going to change in that matter. And why do I emphasize that? Because I do know, even from the spirit realm, with all those beings who every single one of their IQs are off the charts compared to ours, can and will get us to do things that we wouldn't have done otherwise, and even will make it seem like we're in our right mind doing it. Now, with that being said, I want you to know there are still ways that even if you're looking like you're crazy, you're not. So, you're not spiritually crazy. And see, and that's what I want to emphasize as well. And see, and there comes a time that I told you in the knowledge that we learn, we do have to take leaps in this way and that way. And nobody else is going to understand it, quite possibly, except but just you and God. And that's the way that God even works. You see, so you can be the most respectful human being. You can be even the most humble human being. But yet God will do and show you stuff in order to make sure that, this is why he's moved you in this way or protected you in that way or encouraged you to help someone else in another way or what have you, that's why he's done this. You see, in this case or that case. And then once God fortify you in that way, you see, when you do stand up, when you do speak up or what have you, or for this reason or that reason, then you still, are receiving comfort and strength from the Holy Spirit, even though it may not be coming from where you thought it would come from. But you know what? You don't dwell too much on it, because there are individuals at times, as I told you before, God will just um, call them and use them in different ways. And because that's just the way God, you can read from the Bible, that's just the way that he does things. And see, and it's actually been my observation at times, sad to say, that no matter how much you will try to even, holding your joy for this situation or that situation, that persons who go overboard, and I told you, I used the expression of the personality of Uzzah, that will end up, looking at you hard in such a way that they make themselves overly jealous, make themselves overly stingy, make themselves in the frame of mind where that spirit realm that we talked about will, let me use this expression, will jack their mind up. And the next thing you know, they're doing things that, boy, I'm telling you, they're feeling like they're righteous in what they're doing against you, and it's not. And it's not. And so what can happen is they can get so used to doing it to you in such a very bad and horrible way, and such a practice, that then all of a sudden, and it can come with even great authority at times, then all of a sudden they'll try to make it seem like what, you should do this and you should do that, and it'd be almost like, where really, respectfully, just let me get myself together now. What I have, you see, let me get myself together. And sometimes there are persons, friends, who will even have falling outs at times. And there are some individuals that already know that when they get themselves together, you got to put your oxygen mask on yourself first. And I mean that in a financial and economical way. I firmly believe that. And yeah, and once you do that and you get yourself together first, then some of the persons that you may have even had a falling out with, you see, you may go back for some of those persons to restore those type of relationships. You see what I'm saying? It's been done. I've done it. But see, this is what I mean. The nature of the world has affected individuals to such a degree now that I'm telling you what, you can have individuals who mentally and even spiritually, in trying to get themselves together, will take that time to focus on themselves, and then you will still have these other individuals who want to make trouble in other relationships so that you can't even do that. You should never, and this is one of my statements, you should never sabotage somebody's efforts to make life better for themselves. You see, what I want to emphasize is you should never even try to drum up the past on an individual in this way or that way to justify harassing them and beating them up. Why? Because I told you, when persons do that, what they fail to realize, and purposely so, is that you can keep on bringing up an issue about what some person then did in the past in this way or that way, and literally the sentence, according to at least even God's standards, was already paid years ago. Years ago. And yet, because they have held this vendetta type mindset, this type of grudge in this way or that way, they're doing more than double, triple, quadruple, multiplied infinity, if you will, is causing this person to repay this sentence over and over and over again, all because it's not due to their own projections satisfaction. See, you have persons at times who have such a guilty conscience, they'll go around making other people paying for the sentence that they feel themselves deserve. And that's not right. That's not spiritually right. And I'm going to tell you something else. And this is one of my statements that I told you that may be shocking. And this is what God, Jehovah, has clearly shown to me. You know what? Any debt, even a karmatic debt, can be forgiven. It's with the love of the person that you're dealing with. And that's a fact. It's shocking, but that's what Jehovah God has shown me. And you know what? And my mind will not change. Now, with that being said, see, I want to tell you what a lot of stuff that God has shown me as well. Remember, some personalities, it literally is, remember they said different strokes for different folks. And there literally is a certain type of discipline that you have to use on different people. Mm-hmm. See, I'm not discounting that. My point is, as I told you before, what ends up happening with some individuals is, I told you, they, due to a lack of knowledge in this area or that area, they will use a certain type of method or technique on a person that is like, oh yeah, this works on this person, but you know what? It'll destroy the mind and spirituality of another person. But see, they don't care. See, and that's another shock value of information that I'm sharing with you, that my mind won't change because I've seen it too much. You see, it all does. It's not one shoe fits all for people, especially when it comes to discipline and sentencing. And I'll tell you something else. The intention does matter. So you can have a person who, again, makes a mistake, offends somebody in this way or that way, and they had no, in their minds, evil intention at all towards that person or that individual. And so to end up treating this person as such, as if they had evil or hurtful intention, when it really was because of a lack of knowledge, or let me say next, just straight up peer pressure. See, one thing that you don't want to go down the line on, I'm giving you this as accurate knowledge, is this. Once persons start getting scared of the repercussions of anything, if they become scared or what have you, and sometimes some people are actually scared. Why? Because they do have good hearts. Some people call them just even followers. They go with the wind, so to speak. Now, no, that is not good to be like that. But I tell you what, it certainly brings a almost like a tear, to a person's face when they realize that, look at this. You mean is judgment so harsh that even persons who are just followers do have to be taught sometimes in this harsh way for them not to be such people pleasers. Man, yeah, it has happened. It has happened. But I still say again, uh, when it comes to dealing with issues like that, I've seen at times the scriptures in my mind on how God will handle such a matter. And guess what? From what I've seen, principally, normally, boy, when people just have to pay something out their pocket, that will resolve a lot of these issues. Not, torturing them to death, not even incarceration. I tell you what, if persons realize that, oh, you mean, what you mean? I got to keep on paying. Look, I only made $1,000 today, and what you mean? I got to pay 500 now to this, and this isn't even child support. This is you see what I'm talking about. I tell you what, it'll start being a strong deterrent for a lot of persons who have made criminal, the criminal activity as their lifestyle. You see what I'm saying? Or whatever. It's like, crime doesn't pay. It's not worth it, you see. And instead of, I told you again, some of these persons actually just even being placed inside a jail is like, no, you know what? Okay, we already found out that this is not made up. This is a straight up crime. You intended, and so no, we're not gonna put you in jail. You're gonna pay. You see what I'm saying? So my point is that will resolve even a lot of issues with different types of criminal activity and things of that nature. When persons realize that, no, you know what? No, you're gonna just pay that person back, and we gonna make sure of it. You see, but that's a side note altogether. It's more specific ways of handling in that matter, and that's not why I'm here to tell you this. What I am here to tell you is sometimes people will start going down the road or line and justifying why they treated a human being so bad and on purpose once they got on their high horse and see the judgment. You see what I'm saying? They will start justifying for this reason or that reason. And it'll be for reasons that it's like, well, did that person do it to you? No. Okay, then why did you take it to such a level where it's like you started, harassing and abusing that person when it really wasn't your place or role, citizenship wise or spiritually, to do so. But see, some persons have fallen into that trap. See, and that's why I talk about the love. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's a shame. And I'm going to say again, you know what? You really can't justify, you see, going after somebody just because they wish you well, just because they do something nice for you and you didn't appreciate it in this way or that way. All you have to do is just say, you know what? You don't have to do that for me. You know what? I didn't appreciate that. That's if you want to. The point is, if you got somebody who, according to the scriptures, are genuinely wishing you well in such a spiritual way, and you take up swords and arms against that, I'm telling you, the fault isn't really with that person who's just doing themselves, doing the community well by just speaking well, a greeting in such a way. But see, it is a problem when you literally do have what I call caste systems of popularity, the popular kids and the unpopular kids. And that's where the problem really comes in. You can have an individual who may be in an unpopular category. That doesn't affect them on the way that they treat still people. And then you can have persons who are in the popular category who may even like that individual's personality. But guess what? Due to the peer pressure, that's where the fear really come in, not because that person has offended them in any way at all. They really may be just offended because they still do like that person's personality, you see, but because of their own group and the fear in that structure of, well, what if I speak to that person and the person, I know the person say hi, but maybe what if I want some type of business arrangement with that person? And then that person ends up saying, well, I can work with you in this way, but I can't sign over my whole life and my whole business just because you speak with me or you associate with me in this way. But see, this is what a lot of people be expecting. It's like, grand day, I shouldn't have to sign over my whole life just to be able to say hello to you. And you respond back to me. But you got a lot of arrangements like that. So the whole point is what I'm sharing with you today is there are mitigating circumstances for every single one of us. And that's one of the reasons why I feel Jehovah God did send his son down to die for humankind. Because after what Adam and Eve did, which we had no part or play in that at all, God, see, in my mind, is saying they got the mitigating circumstances for me to provide this ransom sacrifice to save them. And all they have to do is take in knowledge of me and accept it in that way. And then to show that they're not going to be pulling my son's leg by, once again, hearing the word, but then treating all his brothers and sisters in an evil way, it will show by what it talks about Matthew chapter 25, that when somebody is genuinely, sincerely needing a help, a hand in this or that way, they gave them some water. They give them some food to eat. They do this. Jesus talked about, see, that goes to show that you really are accepting that ransom sacrifice. You see, that's what it means by faith without works is dead. You don't try to justify your righteousness by works. No. There's like a heart condition to still know what is good, what is genuine, to be able to help somebody, to give somebody the same help that ransom sacrifice of forgiveness is giving you, of forgiving you of all your debts. We don't go around trying to drum up reasons to treat somebody in a horrible way. And I told you, it really is a sad situation when you do have people that don't mean no ill will towards nobody, even when they had knocked down, drag out fights with others, to still want to treat them as if they just so evil inclined. And see, that applies for all the sins. That ransom sacrifice in Matthew chapter 18 gives insight to all of this. You don't become condemned just because you commit any type of sin. And I'm telling you, you have to still be careful to really look at another individual and what type of sin they committed or the sins that they commit. and still just want to place a stamp of they are incorrigible, really, we have to still deal with the incorrigible ones in a certain type of way, and then just let God do what he's going to do on Judgment Day. Have a wonderful brunch, lunch, or dinner.